Welcome, welcome, welcome to Discovering You Again with Susan Axelrod. I am delighted that you are here with us today. I am pleased and honored to be using one of Dr. Pat's radio show time slots. She asked if anybody was interested in taking over this time slot on the last day of the year. And when opportunity is offered to me, I say yes. I always say yes. I step up to life and I see opportunities for what they are. And what is that? Things that I have been wanting, things that I have asked for, either vocally or spiritually and energetically. And so when I had the opportunity to do a show on the last day of the year, I really couldn't believe it. I was very excited. I knew right away that I was going to invite some very special guests on this show to talk about the experience that we had this year participating in my online course, which is called the same name as my radio show and podcast, Discovering You Again. Now, I want to let you know, for people who are watching us live on Facebook, hey, thanks for joining us. If you're listening, I want to let you know that I really think a lot about my shows in advance. And I thought a lot about what I wanted to do with this show. I wanted to make sure that it's not a big, fat commercial. That is not the reason we are here today. It might be that you decide that you want to join up the online course that is going to be starting in January. I would love that, but you should know it's a low price buy-in. That's not the reason we're doing this show. I wanted to offer these guests an opportunity to give voice to what their experience has been, because of my work as a coach and because of my engagement in several Facebook groups with women, and because of what I hear all the time women saying. So we are going to have a fun conversation today about discovering you again. Now, I want to express appreciation to one person in particular. Do you know that for many years, I had this deep desire that I really wanted to do online things. I wanted to create a course. I had heard about it and I tried and I couldn't really figure it out. And then opportunity presented itself to me in the form of Pam Sullivan. Say, hey, Pam.
Hi.
Pam, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Pam Sullivan of Volution Virtual Services came across my path and we partnered up together. She helped me create the online course from the tech and production angle, but most importantly, she got me. So even though she's my tech advisor here, my course producer, she participated in every session she attended with me and participated. And so she's going to have an opportunity to answer questions as well. My next guest is Kelly Walkine. Say, hey, Kelly.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly. Kelly joined my online course from the year-long version last January. We've been together all year. And then I can't remember even how she found me. I'll let her tell you that story. But one thing that's happened with me for Kelly is she has become a cheerleader for me. I'm the coach and I am, do offer people confidence. But guess what? I need help and support myself sometimes. And Kelly has been that person for me. So Kelly, I want to offer you a very special thank you as well.
Thank you.
My third guest today is a longtime friend. I'm not going to say old, but I'm going to say a longtime friend. And I'm talking, I don't know, Kathy, 20 years. Kathy Engelbart. Say, hey, Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
I think it's at least 20 years, maybe even more. Kathy heard me talking about my shtick for a lot of years. When I invited her to lunch and told her the kind of thing that I was thinking about doing, the kind of space that I was moving into, she said, do it, Susan. And I've never forgotten that lunch that we had a few years ago, I think a year or two ago. And then when I was going to re-envision my year-long online course, to become an 8-week course, I asked Kathy if she would like to attend and participate, and she said yes. And so she participated in the online course. So I really want to thank everyone so much for being here today. We are going to have some fun. To our listeners, I told my guests, this is just us. It's a casual conversation, just like we do every week or every month in the online course. So let's get started. I have a question that I want to ask each of you. We're going to go round table. Kathy, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
I gave it away a little bit. The question is a two-part question. How did you find out about the Discovering You Again course? And then how did you decide to join an online course?
Thank you for having me here too, Susan. And it's been a pleasure to know you all these many years. I do remember our lunch, and over the years, I've been so enthralled and impressed with your energies and your ideas and your enthusiasm. You asked me if I wanted to participate in the DYA Discovering Yourself Again course at a time when I had retired. My first work was as a clinical social worker, and I had a private psychotherapy practice. And then for the past 20 years, I had been working at my husband's medical practice as a medical administrator. So now I was retired. And what I had always loved to do and did on my own was my own personal writing and journaling. And as a therapist, I wrote psychotherapy programs, but I never published anything. And I had this deep yearning at some point in my life to get a book, at least one book out of me. And as we started the course, I realized I can do this. Because I just want to say that working with Susan, I had some notes I want to look at here so I don't forget. Because what was so important was the course helped me let go of blocks and negative voices, and truly gave me the ability to find my authentic self again, and not only find it, but be able to speak. I think a year ago, I wouldn't have been able to sit here speaking and saying, I say what I mean now, I'm authentic, I'm more integrated, I know I want to write. And I have to say, participating in the DYA course, I then decided, Susan, I want to work with you as a personal coach. And that's been just wonderful. We're in the process of getting that book out. And yeah, it just keeps moving forward. And because of the DYA course, I've met wonderful people, Pam and Kelly included. And one of the first things Susan said to me in that course, I remember some kind of sigh about feeling so alone. And she said, Kathy, you're not alone anymore. Mm-hmm. And that was so poignant and so telling, because I just have to say, if you participate in this course, and I hope people listening will, because it's wonderful, you have an instant community of support. I have not met maybe in person, but on the computer, people who are so supportive and have been on similar paths. And from out of the blue, all of a sudden you get a phone call or a text from Susan. Have you written today? Are you keeping up with what you said you would be doing? And I have to say, without the course and without the personal coaching, I would not be writing. I would not be feeling good that I'm a writer. I would not be back in touch with myself the way that I am. So thank you to Susan.
Thank you. That is so extraordinary. It's so, you also actually answered the second question that I had in mind, which was the something seminal for you. I so appreciate that. I'm so grateful. And again, this is the reason I'm doing this show. It's the reason I do this work, is to really it's so great for me in so many ways, but really to offer the opportunity to others. So Kelly, very briefly, before we go to break, please let me know. It's been so long. I feel like you've always been in my life. How did you find out about the course? And in the beginning, how did you decide to join the online course?
Well, when we were in a book club together, SBS, and
Oh yeah.
but we knew each other just as new authors. I didn't realize how
That's
awesome you are. I didn't realize all the things that you do and that you're already this coach, and I had no idea because you're just so authentic and real, and nothing is you don't come off like you're better than anybody. So I didn't even realize that I was talking to a champ. And one day you had written that you were nervous about talking in front of people. I thought you
That's right.
knew. I didn't know that you did this for a living. I didn't know that this is what you do. I just thought from friend to friend, I could maybe encourage you. So we talked and I encouraged you. And then I found out, holy cow, this was God connecting me to you exactly when I needed you. And it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer why I decided to join the course. We just talked. I felt instantly connected, like I've known you forever. And I can't even explain how this past year has helped me grow and helped me learn. And in two folds. One, it's helped me with I already knew my passion, which is trying to promote hope and domestic violence awareness, but you helped me streamline it and kept me accountable even through things that I've done. And then the second part is, and that's why I'm doing it again this year, is to learn who I am past being a mom and past being a domestic violence advocate, which are my two favorite things in the world. But I find myself an empty nester and I have to figure out who I am past that. So
Oh my gosh. I have chills. Of course, Kelly, how could I have forgotten that? I mean, my life is so full. Of course, that's what happened. We were in self-publishing school together. And what I was saying was I was having my first book launch. And even though, yes, I am a speaker, I was terrified. And out of the blue, you said, oh, I'll support you. And then we had a late night call one night out of the clear blue sky, total strangers. And this is how it goes. This is honestly exactly how it goes. You know, Kelly and I have never met in person, but we're like besties. It's so extraordinary.
I'm so thankful for all of you guys, for Pam and Kathy and all the people through this course. I do feel like we're a community. I do feel like we support each other and care about each other. And I can't wait to celebrate when you get your book out, Kathy. And I'm so to see Pam's beautiful face. It's an amazing group of people. And I am
blessed. So great. Well, listen, folks, Pam, I'm going to ask you to wait till we get to the other side of the break. We're going to take a short break now. Everybody take a breath and a stretch, and we'll see you on the other side. Welcome back, folks. This is the most fun ever. If you are listening to this show or viewing us on Facebook, hey, live, good to see you. I really want to ask you the question. Do you feel like you want to discover yourself again? Because that's really what we're talking about here. That is the foundation that underlies this conversation and all of this work. So while you're thinking about that question, I want to ask Pam Sullivan. Pam, thank you for joining us today. I really can't thank you enough for the support that you've given me. You honestly, truly helped me break through my biggest block that I had to accomplish one of the things that I really most wanted to accomplish. So I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts about your involvement with discovering you again?
Yeah. Well, first of all, just like you said, I really feel like the universe brought us together at just the right time. And I've said this to you before, it was just so funny. I was at a crossroads myself, wanted to break into the entrepreneur world and kind of, you helped me open that window and just run through it. And I don't want to, and I've said this before, like, I don't want to look back. Um, and us coming together really helped me do that. And so I so appreciate that. And I'm just glad we could come together and we have just clicked. Like Kelly said, it was just, you just got me from that very first phone call. And so, I just think that is so awesome. And just from a course standpoint, I think like Kathy said, it has been so inspirational to me because even though I'm the producer of the course and I help build and everything, I'm still an attendee and I'm on every session and I listen and I see the chat from everybody and I read it. And I've said this to Susan, I don't know how many times, it is so inspiring. This chat is crazy to see everybody supporting everybody. And for me, that has been the best, is seeing and hearing these stories from people and things they're going to do and how they're being transformed. And I just think that's so awesome.
I will say, first of all, thank you also to each of you for being here today as guests on this show. But I will say that I have been surprised. I honestly just now, since we've been together with each one of you speaking, I feel those chills come over me. And I'm not sure really what it all is about, except some kind of opening. It's some kind of opening. Each one of us experienced it with each other, and each one of us have a totally different engagement from the other. And I know some people in person and I know some people from online, but the key is that there's some kind of opening. My thesis of discovering you again is, and another thing to be noted is that we're all in different decades of life, or nearly all in different decades of life. And that's saying a lot. But the key is that we're kind of in that second half. Now, Pam has a younger child. Kelly made reference to her kids leaving the nest. Kathy actually has grandchildren, and I'm somewhere in between all of that. But the key is that as women, it's if we're lucky and blessed to have a beautiful life where we give to others and we have a family of some sort, sometimes our work is our family, sometimes our friend group is our family, whatever it is, we give so much. But through my own experience, I just found and learned that you come into this time, and of course, at first I had to go into therapy when I was 47 in order to face turning 50 3 years later. But once you cross over whatever that threshold barriers that creates mental resistance for you, once you cross it over, there's an opening on the other side. And I'm here to say, what do you want to do with that time? What do you want to do with that time? And I think all three of our guests today referenced the fact that people in the course, mostly, not everyone, of course, some people are more listening in observation. Some people who have attended the course have been more listening and observation, kind of sitting over here, kind of watching and listening, perfectly fine. And some people like Pam just dove through that window, shut it, and never looked back, you know. And Kathy did the same. You know, at one point she said to me, is it crazy that I'm thinking about writing a book at this, you know, stage of my life? I'm like, no, it's perfect that you're really committed to what? Sharing your wisdom gleaned and gained from life. And that is one of the things that I feel is so important, each in different ways. Now, Kelly has a profound message that's very important to share about domestic violence awareness. Kelly, I want to just ask you to share with us what your upcoming year looks like. And in particular, you already alluded to it, but I want to know if you feel like you'll be approaching next year differently since you participated in your course. Especially, you know, you alluded there's the work path and then there's the personal path.
Yeah, I definitely, I have so many things planned, and I think that you have helped me kind of focus, kind of clear my thoughts. You give me somebody to talk to, somebody to, that's, I feel like we're friends, but I feel like it's past that. It's more than just you like, oh, good job, Kelly, fine. You say, this is what I think you can do. This is what I think you shouldn't do maybe, or just give me ideas or thoughts. So I'm approaching 2020 with just open arms and all these business plans. I've already started my business plans. I was going to launch things at the end of the year, but I thought I'm going to just do everything at the beginning of the year because this is going to be my 2020. Every day is domestic violence awareness rather than once a month. So I have a mobile exhibit that my kids, my adult kids and I created to help talk about the journey from trauma to finding hope to healing. And I travel around and show people. So I already have a lot of people already committed. I have a month-long exhibit in October. I have a book coming out in January. And do not be surprised, I have probably 3 or 4 interactive journaling books coming out by spring that I've been working on. So you have motivated me and got me so focused. So this course has been life-changing, really. And just to have someone to sit and talk to on the other side of it, and not that I view like a mom, but I don't have, my mom was murdered when I was 3, and I don't have that adult figure that I can really connect with that is able to help me focus and help me just be my cheerleader and to be excited for me and you have been so excited for things that I've done that it feels good to have somebody be excited. Now my kids are amazing supporters and amazing and wonderful, and I'm so grateful for them. But it's nice to have somebody that is able to share in a different way with me. So to me, that's tremendous. The other big plan I plan on doing in 2020 is focusing on me of, like I said, trying to get down through the nitty gritty, because my whole life, when I don't plan on changing it, I like to be helpful and I love kids. And I find that when I have spare time, you know, I have my neighbor kids, I have, you know, probably 6 kids that I see. If I have a free moment, they're over my house, spending the night, hanging out, and I love it. And I don't ever want to change that. But I need to figure out, what do I like to do? What am I about besides that? Like,
okay, well, you know, Kelly, that the first session of the Discovering You Again online course is called Vices, Values, and Vision in the very first session of the course. And so we face our vices. Yes. I'm going to reveal here, like I always do. Do you know that my vice is just my vice? My vice, I said it last January, and it's still the vice. I do stay up late, and then I eat, you know, in front of the TV with mindless eating. Okay, so I totally still do that. It's a vice. Okay, so I face my vice. We prioritize our values, or in the case of Kelly at this time in her life, well, all 3 of us actually, all 4 of us rather, at this time in our lives, we reprioritize our values. And then what? Then we create a vision for life as we want it to be. And that is the key. One of our other participants in the last session talked a long time. She just was so excited. She just totally kept talking and saying, you know, when you said that, Susan, I set last January, she said, I set a vision for my life. I wanted that new job. I wanted to leave that other work. And you made me like a walking vision board. And I kept it in my mind all the time. And then, you know, month after month after month, we came together and I kept that vision. And she got that job offer right before Thanksgiving. She couldn't wait to come back to the next session and let us know. So Kelly, that's going to be what you're going to do. Your work is already ongoing. I'm so happy to hear about your business plans in place. Of course, you know, I want to hear more about that. But in this time for the next session, because what we can share with people is that when you become a member of the DYA family, when you participate as a student in the class, then you get to stay for free. You get to continue on. And I have several people who have said that they're going to start up in January as well. So that's something that is really, really, truly important. I love the way you have this new lens, Kelly, a new way of looking at the way you're going to address 2020. That is the biggest thing. Is in my work as a confidence coach, I have this methodology where one of the stages is we come to conscious awareness, to become consciously aware of the thoughts and actions and what it is that we want and how we feel. So we are going to already go into our second break. And when we come out on the other side of the break, I want to hear from Kathy and Pam talking about what 2020 is going to look like with you, with your new lens on, your new 2020 lens on. So stay with us, folks, and we'll see you on the other side of the break. Wow. I honestly feel humbled before when I said that I've been getting chills, it is true. I don't really know how all of this happened. Last fall, when Pam and I met, and I told her about what I wanted to do and all the content that I had been working on for so long, and she helped me understand how you make a course and break it down into modules and all of that. I worked on it, and I worked really hard on it. I really wanted it to happen. I was very committed because of my own personal experience, my own personal journey, which I reveal and share because I know that other women need to hear that they're not alone. And I guess I was just given the responsibility in life, the divine responsibility to be a person who is willing to share my truth. It ain't always pretty. It's not always pretty, but I always share my truth. And so some kind of magic has ensued that we are having this conversation today after having the experience over the course of the year. So Kathy, I want to ask you about your 2020. Wow. You just said to us before that you had always wanted or had long wanted to write a book or to have there was a book in you. And I really want to ask today, how does it feel to know that you're going to be publishing a book? And what does your 2020 look like for you?
Oh, first, let me say I've also been sitting here getting chills after chills. And I know for myself, when that happens, excuse me, it means there's something very real going on that we need to pay attention to. And
Ah,
I mean, I'm getting it right now too. And it's just so wonderful, always wonderful to sit with and communicate with this group of people. And I'm going to do the DYA course again, or whatever opportunities you offer, Susan, because this is the most supportive group I've ever been in, and something I've been searching for a long time, and it just is fulfilling those needs of with working with Susan. I made a note to myself, and I just wanted to say that Susan is this incredible listener and reframer and a coach in the very best sense of the word. I mean, it's as if we're out on the football field or the soccer field or the ballet class, and she's taking what we already intrinsically have and what we have worked on and learned on ourselves and validating that and say, now let's add to that. And what do you think about this? And to me, it's gone from such negative to the positive, and from fear to excitement. And your openness and sharing is just so incredible. I'm so impressed about how real and authentic you are. So for 2020, I know I'll be publishing this book. And I can say it that way. I certainly wouldn't have said that 6 months ago or even 3 months ago, but I say it that way because that's how Susan was speaking to me from day one when we started working on it. She said, okay, you're writing this book and we're getting it published. And I was like, what? And it's developing, and it's really taking shape. And I do know that that's what's going to happen. And I'm very excited for 2020. I always worked in personal growth and self-expression all my life, but now I have turned the focus more in with a Jewish overlay, because I'm Jewish and my Judaism has really been a motivator and a spiritual grounding force for me. So that's what we're working on, releasing what we don't need in our lives anymore. And I'm using the Jewish holiday of Passover, because during Passover we get rid of and throw out what we call chametz, which is that which is in our way and we don't need anymore. And it has different negative connotations. And the book that I'm working on is really just getting all of that out of the way. And it meshes with Passover very well, but it can be used all year long too. So I'm very excited for 2020 and
oh my gosh.
continuing to know Pam and Kelly and any new participants who come into the group, because this is so supportive and exciting for me.
Oh my gosh. I will tell you the idea of this book in my last show. No, 2 shows ago, actually, I did a show with Dr. Pat called Turning Life's Blows into Wisdom. And then in the show, we talked about sharing the wisdom gleaned and the wisdom gained. I mentioned this to you before, Kathy, and this is the perfect example where Kathy has all of this. Well, she's got great life experience and unfortunate life experience. And she's going to be sharing, she's turning those blows into wisdom and then sharing the wisdom in a way that makes beautiful, fluid, perfect sense for anyone who is going to read this book. And I honestly believe, are there too many self-help books? No, there are not too many self-help books. There are just as many as there is that one person who picks it up. That is what I believe. So Kathy, I cannot wait to continue this work. I do want to say to people that my style is organic, it's flowing, it's no longer rigid and fixed. So we have a date, a deadline, it's very real. There's a reason that we have a deadline. But if we have a bad week, then we give ourselves a break and then we revisit, we feel it out and see, are we still on deadline or not? And we go from there. So that's really supporting the way that we're going to get this done. I can't wait. So
too.
Listen, Pam, you and I are like synergy in motion. I want to say to our listeners that going it alone is hard, it's sad, and it does not feel good. Kathy just mentioned that too. I didn't even really ever know that what she just said before about I was sort of always looking for a community. And so Pam and I were like, this is the way I do it. I'm bringing my hands together, and when they hit, they explode out. So I call that energy coming together and creating synergy, exponential synergy, and I call that 1 + 1 = 4. So Pam, why don't you share for yourself some of the things that you have going on, both either with me or on your own for 2020?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to address something that you said in that we're all in kind of different decades, but for me, at least, I have a small child and I'm in the entrepreneur world, just breaking into it. And so it all comes together, and that's the whole transition thing. So even though I might not be in my second half or in there, but I am in a transition, and that's helped me participating in this. So, so just right there, I wanted to address that.
Interesting.
And
thank you.
yeah, and so in 2020, yeah, we have a lot of stuff coming on that I'm so excited about. And yeah, we've been working together, and I think that is so important too, is working alone is hard, and when you have somebody that can be on your side. And I think that's what's special about a coach is, you can have a therapist, you can have a counselor, and that's great, but a coach to me is a special person in that they are your cheerleader, and they're right there, and that's what I think you are. And just like Kelly and Kathy have been saying, it's more than that, and it's another level. And so that's awesome. And so yeah, in 2020, one of our focuses definitely is continuing to improve in the way we deliver the DYA course, for one thing. And we've set it up in a way that if you're really wanting to put in the work and to be serious about it, we set the course up in a way that you really can. There's some assignments and thinking questions, and you get the recordings, and you can go and have everything in one place. So for me, that's one thing. And my way of supporting all of these great people and helping them move forward and making the course as concise.
So let me just interrupt, Pam, and tell everybody, see, it just happened. See, she's the producer and I'm the content. So I'm thinking of like, oh, how do you feel and all of this? But she's saying, yeah, we have worked really hard to create a structure that works. So I'm sorry, go ahead. That was
no,
really funny.
And that's true. Yeah. But yeah, I you said it the other day. Do you realize you have a business? You have a full business. So within this last year, I now have a business. And so I'm really excited to grow it in 2020. And all these things. We've got a podcast in the works. We've got Virtual Presenter Studio to help people make videos and be comfortable on camera. And so we've got a lot of things that I'm really excited about.
We have a lot of things. It's so fun. So the synergy, something funny happened one day. I was doing some Zoom webinar. I'm always going online doing something. Everything I do is free. Like most of the stuff I do for free. And so I was doing some free webinar about something. And Pam came on early out of the goodness of her heart and was just helping me. And I realized we were doing tech, I don't know what we were doing. And I realized all of a sudden it was 10 minutes before the time we were supposed to start this webinar. The webinar was on self-care for nonprofit leaders, another area of my work. And I said to Pam, oh my God, I have to go get my pants on before the webinar starts. I swear I said that. Pam, after the webinar was over, said to me, look at this Post-it note. This is the title of our new podcast. And so, yes, in the new year in 2020, we are going to have a podcast. And what's it called, Pam?
It's going to be called Hold On, I Have to Get My Pants On podcast. And it's about, and this is honest truth. When she said that, it just struck me. I wanted to crack up. In my mind, I was cracking up because who else could say that other than an entrepreneur or a solopreneur that's just going into a big meeting or whatever in the next 10 seconds and wait, I don't have pants on. So it just struck me as so funny. And it's something that, and then afterwards I'm like, wait a minute, this could be something. And to support people who are in this life, which can sometimes be hard, but sometimes can be funny. So it just, I was like, it was one of those moments like, oh my gosh, wait a minute.
That is so great. That was so funny. I hardly knew that I had said it. I mean, I was like, literally had to go get my pants on.
I wrote it down. I took a picture of it on my phone, saved it, and I emailed it to her. I said, only an entrepreneur, true solopreneur would say this.
Exactly. And that is a lot of the people who find me and work with me as personal coaching clients or whatever are in that space. And I think that that's why it was so funny. So we can't wait to get started. That's a whole thing. All right, look, we have one more break. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back and I'm going to ask each of you this question. What would you say to a woman you meet who is wondering what the second half of her life is going to be like now? And what could it be like? All right, and I'll ask you that question on the other side of the break. Okay, friends, we will see you on the flip side. Hello, friends. It is December 31st of 2019. In mere minutes, virtually, we are going to be opening a new year. And the way I look at it is that we are starting and launching a new decade. I want to ask you, what will your year look like? How will you feel over this year? On this day next year, what will you have accomplished? How will you feel? Will you feel good or great about the things that you got done that you wanted to get done? Or will you feel sad or worried or anxious or resentful or disappointed that you didn't really break through your blocks, barriers, or resistance? That's what we're talking about here today. And that's why we're having this show. Honestly, I'm listening to, I'm so grateful. I'm so deeply appreciative for the beautiful, loving, kind, and generous comments that everyone is making about me. But my work is only really to support and uplift others and motivate people to actually take the action that will allow them to then share the types of stories that our guests are sharing with you today. So I ask you again, 1 year from today, 10 years from today, when we have seen the decade through, how will you be feeling and what will you have accomplished? I've amazed myself at how much more, if you open your mind and you open instead of allow the blocks, barriers, and resistance to stop you. And part of this comes from getting soul connected. And that is really underlying everything we do in our course. In fact, one of my workshops in the course, one of the modules is actually called Soul Connection. So I want to ask each of you to answer this question. And this is a real question because all of us have women friends. And I would venture to say that each of us here today has at least one woman we know who we feel like you should be in this course. So I want to ask you, what would you say to someone you meet who is wondering or in some ways bemoaning what the second half of their life is or sharing that they want something more? Kelly, let's start with you.
Oh, geez. I would say, first off, I think it's important to tell people they need to learn to love themselves and that it's okay. A lot of people think that if they start doing things for themselves, they're being selfish. And in a way, all I knew how to do and I love doing it is helping and doing good. And I love that's a big piece of me, but it's okay to take care of myself and take time for myself. So I would tell them to love themselves, forgive themselves for things that they've done in the past, that this is a new day and that you can only change today and tomorrow, not yesterday. Find yourself, find out what makes you happy, what makes you smile. Of course you love other people, but be kind to them, but be kind to yourself and be true to yourself. Be true to how you feel, not do something because it makes somebody else happy. Do something that makes you happy. See what brings you joy. Like I said, it's not about being selfish. It's about self-care. And when we care for ourselves and nourish ourselves, then we're able to fully help other people. Because I love, and I think it's so important to love and nurture and cheerlead and care about other people. But if you forget to do it to yourself, then you're not able to do it as well. And I think that's one of the things that last year I feel like the course was all about my passion and working on my business, and it'll still be this year, but this course, I'm looking at it as a personal change. What can I do to personally change how I view things, how I look at things, and what I can do to make myself even stronger than I have been, in a completely different way, and a completely way that I am ready for it. Like I would have loved to met you at any time in my life, Susan. You definitely would have been an asset. But this time in my life is when God knew I needed you the most. I needed that direction. I needed that accountability. I needed that love and care. it's tremendous. And this whole group of women that are strong and loving and kind and motivated, it's a life changer. This group is truly a life changer.
Damn, I'm glad this is recorded because you're going to need to listen to that come January 2nd. That's great. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. I started writing. I got my pen. I started writing. Then I'm like, nah, it's recorded. I can watch it over and then I can write down these beautiful quotes. So Pam, how about you? What would you say to a woman you meet?
Well, first of all, I don't think I can top what Kelly just said, and I ditto everything she just said. That was amazing what she said. So everything that she said, number one. And
Plus,
so just to add on to that, you don't have to do it by yourself. You know, I think a lot of women feel guilty if they can't do this or can't be all. They feel like they have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. So that would be one thing. And then another thing would be to just, I guess, be open to things. And
that's huge.
yeah.
That's really huge. I mean, I've watched that in you, and you know, it's not always easy, and I'm not always easy, and you've been subjected to me all year, for which I'm very grateful that you have allowed me to be who I am, which is extremely imperfect. And so being open for me too, I think is so important. Thank you so much. Kathy, I'm surmising that I might hear your book thesis again in this comment, but really, you know, with what you've shared, and you know, you're in a different decade, if you'll forgive me for saying, I hope that's okay.
It's the truth.
And that's the truth. And so I'm curious for you, what you might say to women in your cohort or any cohort.
I just want to thank Kelly and Pam for what they've said so far too, because I agree with everything they've said. I've found myself recently in different meetings where I'm the oldest one there. It's a very strange feeling, I have to tell you. It's very strange because I feel really good. I'm turned 71 at the end of October. And frankly, I feel better than I felt in my 20s and 30s. And so I will encourage people my age and younger to forget the age, just do it. Time gets compressed. You get into your 50s, 60s, certainly by 70s, you're like, oh no, I just have a shorter time left. And that is true. But if you take care of yourself and you exercise and you eat well and whatever, so that your physical body can sustain you as best it can, there's so much out there still to be explored and to be open to and to allow. And I would just say go for it. And Susan, your course is so helpful in doing that for anybody at any age, because it's all, as I think you talk about early on in the course, it's all in there. It's been in there since we were infants and children, maybe even past lives. And Susan uses the concept of mining and getting to those precious gems that are within us that we have not allowed to come out. And we need to allow those. Time is of the essence. No one knows how long any of us have. And the one thing we need is to be true to ourselves and be as fully ourselves as we possibly can. So I thank you for helping me in that process, Susan.
I love that. I do love the idea of mining. I call it excavating. Mm-hmm. You know, the soul, mm-hmm. And people, all my listeners, you know the soul is down deep in there. That's what I call the soul space, down deep in your core, down deep in your abdomen, deep in there, right in the middle of you. And so it does require some excavating, or mining down to allow that soul to rise. And that really is the basis of this. My soul was sitting down there like shuttered and suffering for many years. I wish I had known all of this in those years, but I didn't. It was my journey. So we all have our journey to personal freedom, which is the basis of Kathy's book. And that's really what we're doing here today. Kathy, thank you for courageously sharing your age. I don't know if you noticed, but Kelly was like, what? She can't be 71 because she looks the same age as we all do. And that comes, people say to me, oh, you look good or whatever. And I say it comes from being happy, and happy comes from being okay. And that's really what we're trying to get to. I call it the platform of okay. And that's what I would say to somebody I meet who's thinking about their second half or thinking about what they can do differently in their own life. And that is really try to get yourself to the platform of okay, that solid, steady, firm platform upon which you can plant your feet, because it is only from getting to the okay state that you can really then go up higher and reach further. And it takes work and commitment, and sometimes we fall off the platform. I fell off recently. I was clawing my way back to the platform of okay. It's not about perfection. It's not about staying on the platform every minute of every day of your life. It's only about the tools, the skills, the desire, the dream, and the ability to get back up when you need to, because we need you to. We need you to discover you again so that you can make the divine impact that you are intended to make. Thank you so much for listening today. We've enjoyed having you. I want to thank each and every one of you, my guests, my precious guests, for being here. I want to thank each person who trusted me with signing up for the course. And if you are interested in signing up for the course, we have a discounted price going on right now. It's not a heavy lift, and we would love for you to join us. And with that said, Happy New Year, and here's to an incredible 2020. Thank you.